Hey guys, it's Whynabile here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cool Nerf blaster. And now, like a lot of people, I was a big fan of Nerf, and now that I'm a little bit older, it's easy to be disappointed in some of the guns. So I decided, why not make my own? So today that's what I'm going to do. So why not jump on in, I'm going to show you the parts you need to build it and some of the tools you're going to need. Alright, first things first, you're going to need two types of PVC pipe. I'm using 2-inch PVC pipe. This is all Schedule 40, which talks about the thickness of the pipe. And I'm using 1/2-inch PVC pipe. The 2-inch pipe is going to be my reservoir, and the 1/2-inch pipe is the barrel. For Nerf bullets, you have to use 1/2-inch, but if you want to use something larger than 2-inch for the reservoir, then be my guest. Next, I have this PVC valve. It's a ball valve, and this is what I'm going to use for the trigger. When you open the valve, the air rushes through, and that is the shot. And of course, if we're using PVC pipe, we need to have PVC connectors. These are standard 2-inch connectors, and we're going to use them to hold the gun together. And I'm also using a 1/2-inch connector that we're going to modify a little bit to use differently. Next, we're going to use some bushings to go from our 2-inch PVC pipe to two different sizes of threaded pipe. In my case, I'm using 3/4 inch NPT, which is standard thread size, and 1/2-inch NPT. So, in order to achieve a union between that and 2-inch pipe, I actually have to have two bushings, and they both go to smooth fittings so that we can glue them with PVC cement later. And so, two different inside bushings, and in my case, this is 1.5 on the outside, going into 2-inch, and also 3/4 to 1.5 going into 2-inch. Then you're going to need to go over to the hose section of the Home Depot and get two 3/4 inch close risers. There'll be some with some smooth pipe in between that'll be longer, but you want them that are just threaded all the way across, 3/4 inch NPT, and pretty close. We're going to use this as like a nipple. And then we're also going to need a 3/4 inch thread to 1/2-inch smooth. So the interior on this is 1/2-inch, so we can connect threads to our barrel. The last two bits you need are these two little brass pieces. This is a little valve. It's the same valve that's on a bike tire. It's called a Schrader valve or a tank valve, and this is the only piece I didn't find at Home Depot. I had to actually go on Amazon and get this. It was about $2. And then to plug this into our system, this is just a little, I don't know what's it called, but it's a little adapter. It's got 1/8-inch NPT on the inside and 1/2-inch on the outside. So this is going to plug into our system. This I did get at Home Depot in the plumbing section, and this came from online. Now let me get into some of the tools we're going to use to work with the PVC. First, you're going to need primer and cement to connect to the PVC. This was about $8, and we have to have both. You can use just PVC cement in other situations, but because we want to keep an airtight seal, we have to use both of them. Also, we're going to use Teflon tape to secure some of the threaded joints. You can get this in the plumbing section, in the PVC section, and it's a really useful material. Finally, for some tools, we're going to use a rat tail file, and I'm just using the largest one I had, but pretty much anything will work. We use it to modify this PVC pipe, and we're also going to use some sandpaper to rough up the surface before we glue it. So now that I've shown you everything that you're going to need to make this project, let me get into laying it out. What we're just going to do, we're going to use our rat tail file and file off the inside ridge. I've already done that, so it slides on. And we're just going to file it off, smooth it out with some sandpaper, and then we can smooth it out a little bit just by working it on the pipe. Before we get into the construction of the gun, we actually have to modify one of the pieces we got. This is the little 1/2-inch connector that we got, and what we have to do is there's a little ridge inside of the pipe when you buy it, so that when you are attaching two 1/2-inch pipes, it doesn't go all the way through, so that each pipe gets an equal spacing inside the spacer. But we don't want that. We actually want this piece to slide completely over a 1/2-inch barrel. You should have it pretty tight so that it stays where it is on the pipe, but beyond that, have it as tight or loose as you want. Now that we have our breech cover, which we made out of the 1/2-inch connector, we're going to go about 3 or 4. We're going to slide about 3 or 4 inches onto the barrel, and use a Sharpie or some other permanent marker to mark out what area that covers, so that we know how much space we have to cut out a hole to feed the bullet in for the breech. So that's the range I have. And obviously I don't want to use the whole thing because when I slide this on, I want it to cover the entire hole it makes. And I think that this space in here is a good enough space that I can fit a bullet in. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut that open, and I'll show you how I do that. Alright, now that I've got it cut out, I'm just going to use some sandpaper to clean up the edges. And I'm going to do the same just to get the little inside burrs off so that our bullet can fit through. And there we go, that's our hole for the breech. So we can see that this little connection we made, I'm going to clean up a little more, but it'll be closed. Then when we need to put a bullet in, we slide it forward, put our little bullet in, feed it in, and then we can close up the breech again. So this is going to be our breech loading system, and now I can show you how to put the gun together. If I could suggest one final modification, it would be that on this piece, I was a little bit dissatisfied with that when I assembled it, it would kind of wiggle and it wouldn't hold the barrel straight. So all I did is I just took some Gorilla Glue, or you could use whatever super glue or JB Weld or whatever, and I just glued it down together, and I made sure it was flush. So this, I've been actually happy with this. It's not the prettiest thing, but it holds the gun together. Now I've shown you everything you'll need. Let me go from the back of the gun all the way to the front, and I'll show you how this is going to fit together. So the first piece, we have our Schrader valve or a tank valve, depending on what you buy. They're the same thing with different names. The Schrader valve fits into this little 1/8 inch to 1/2 inch NPT adapter. Then it goes into the first bushing, which has 1/2 inch NPT to 1.5 inch smooth. Then we'll sweat fit the 1/2 inch, 1.5 inch bushing into the 2 inch. Finally, we have the 2 inch connector, and that goes from the bushing all the way to the air reservoir. So this air reservoir is made out of the 2 inch PVC pipe that we had before. And for my project, I cut it into a 2-foot section. I cut it just with a hacksaw because they sell it in 10-foot chunks, which is way more than I needed. Going further down, there's a lot of activity here. We have a similar system. We have the 1/2 inch connector going again to the 2 bushings. This one screws not into the 1/2 inch NPT, but into the 3/4, which is the same size as the valve I got. This is double female 3/4 inch. And so then on the other side, we have same 3/4 inch riser. And this is the piece with the hose, and it screws on and connects to our 2 inch, 1/2 inch section. And I cut off a nice 3-foot section. Then this is the little 1/2 inch connector that we got and we modified. Then there's nothing on the other end, that's the ends of the barrel. It's going to all fit together with some nice glue and some tape, and I'll show you how that goes. Two types of joints that we're going to use in this project, and the first is a Teflon valve. So we're going to use this anytime that we have two things screwing together. So that would be between, for example, I'm going to show you on the Schrader valve and the fitting, then between the fitting and this bushing, moving down the gun, between this fitting and the pipe hose riser, again between the riser and the valve and the riser, and then once more when we get to the other connector. So let me show you how to do that. First, we're going to take our Teflon tape, and we're just going to grab ourselves a piece that is going to wrap around our inside piece maybe 2 or 3 or 4 times. And we want to take some care that it doesn't get wrinkled and messed up. So then there is a trick to this. We want the tape to tighten when we screw this fitting into the socket. So in order to achieve that an easy way, we have to make sure that we lay it over the top and then rotate this piece to attach it on. This way, when we rotate the piece inside of the fitting, it's going to continue to tighten the tape, and it'll make a good solid connection. So there, we're just going to press it on, make sure that we're not blocking or obstructing the valve. And now we can take the two pieces, and this is going to make a tight connection. Just screw it in, and because these are both metal, we can use a wrench and really tighten that up. I'm going to do all of these, and then I'll show you what's next. Now this is the second type of joint that we're going to use, and this is the sweat fitting between the two PVC pipes. So for this, we're going to use the PVC primer and cement. We need to use both because we want an airtight seal. And we're also going to use some sandpaper and a little rag to help clean and make the joint stronger. So the first thing we're going to do, when the PVC comes from the factory, it has a kind of shiny glaze on it, and that doesn't help the strength of the bond. So I'm just going to use some sandpaper and sand down the outside of the inner fitting and the inside of this so that they make a stronger contact. Alright, now that these two things are sanded down, we're just going to use a little rag, and it doesn't have to be wet, but we're just going to wipe off the dust because that will get in the weld and make it not as strong. So now we're going to actually go into making the joints. And it's not really as straightforward as it might seem. First of all, these cans are impossible to open, but a trick that I've found really helps is I just take a pair of pliers that have a rubber handle, and it allows me to get a really good grip on the lid. Then I can, it's still kind of hard, but I can get it unlocked because of that. So first we prime, then we put the cement. And it's a solvent cement, so it's actually time sensitive. Once we get this in, we're going to have to go pretty quickly. So we're just going to go with inside coating. This is way too much. And same on the outside. You might want to wear like rubber gloves for this because this stuff seems pretty nasty. Here comes the cement. Now we need to be a little bit fast with this. And then when we insert it, we push it all the way in and do a quarter turn so that it all sticks together. But for now, this is a very good solid weld. It's airtight, and I think we can be happy with that. So just go through the rest of the gun and do all of those joints like that, and that's actually the last step. Once you get all that done, you'll be ready to pressurize. Alright, now that the blaster is all assembled, I'm going to demonstrate the operation of the blaster. So first thing, I'm going to close the valve so that we can pressurize the chamber. Then go over here, unscrew the valve cap, and hook it up. I do about 10 to 15 pumps to get it pressurized, and that gives me plenty of power. You can do definitely less, and I'd be a little wary of doing more. But this pipe is generally rated to about 180 psi, so I think no matter what, you'll be pretty safe. So there we go, pump it up, remove this, put the cap back on, and then move over to the loader, open it up, slip a bullet in, close it back over, and now it's completely ready to fire. Alrighty, so before I actually show you the gun, for reference I'd like to show you a shot from the Nerf CS6 long shot. Nerf guns in general have not really satisfied me in terms of power, but so there's just two reference shots. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you the blaster that I just made. Yeah. That shows a little bit of the power of it. So definitely not your average Nerf gun. Alright, this test is designed to give a little show of the distance potentials of this blaster. That gate is probably 60 or 70 feet away. This is getting significantly higher feet per second. It's a really nice gun, and I'm very happy with it. So if you enjoyed this video, please like. I hope you build it. If you do, tell me how it turns out. And thanks for watching. Subscribe, like my videos, comment, anything you want. Talk to you later.